Hello, viewers. You are welcome to Abba Fresh TV. I go by the name Abba Fresh. And welcome to Abba Fresh TV on YouTube. Here at Abba Fresh, we stand for education, information, and entertainment. And by so doing, we serve you with massive stories, massive content that had to do with information, education, and entertainment. Fun way of telling stories that will attract you, that will make you know what you have to know about across all board, being in social stories. And today we are here to tell you or to show you a video about how the Young People Guild of Presbyterian Church of Ghana, Ashaiman Zion congregation, visited Dodowa for fun activities as part of their excursion program. And they pay homage to the chief of the land, NENE, OKUKRUBOUR, TEYE AGYEMANG, the fifth, who had to tell these young people the history behind Dodowa. But for now, stay tuned. We'll go for a quick commercial break. We'll be back for more. Stay tuned. Yeah, welcome back from that quick commercial break. I believe you are going to be exciting watching the history, watching how the Chief of Dodowa narrates the history of the Ga-Dangme people to the Young People Guild, Zion Congregation, Ashaiman.
You're welcome once again. And how may we be of help? Introduce yourself and then tell us why you're here. Your name once again? Godfrey, okay. Kwekwachu. Jason. You travel in no Dangmelo? Okay, so two nena manu Chi, Dangme, English, ever, Hausa. So, my name is OKUKRUBOUR and KWESI the fifth. I am the chief. And I've been here like this for almost 24 years. I was installed on the 2nd of February the year 2000. And so past February was my 23rd anniversary. So I'm heading towards 24th year on the throne. And my brother, my senior brother, Charles Aete, has been with me since day one, and he represents the various languages when they are not around. But occasionally, we have Ashaiman and Ashaiman. So when they come, they take up their job. But in the absence of those ones, he acts as Ashaiman and my personal assistant. So feel free to talk to us, and if there are any questions that we can answer, we are prepared. I guess we have about 30 minutes or maximum 40 minutes to do this, because I have other activities to attend to. So let's be swift. So the ball is in your court. What do you want to know from us? Go ahead. Okay. All right, so let me start with tribes. We call ourselves Dangmes or Ga-Dangme. Most people adulterate it and say Ga-Dangme. There's nothing like Ga-Dangme. The name is Ga-Dangme. We are Dangmes, we are not Adangmes. People attribute it to their dance, so sometimes they use their dance, and say Adangme. No, their dance themselves are Dangmes. They are not Adangmes. Okay. So history says that we migrated. The Ga-Dangmes migrated right from Israel, through their journeys through Niger, Mali. Some came through Ethiopia, Cameroon, and then finally they gathered once again in a city called Ile-Ife in Nigeria. Of course, they were not settled, so others continue with migration, came all the way to Benin, that is Dahomey, then to Togo, and in Togo where they met, there was a king already in Togo who was known as King Agokoli. Agokoli was one of the greatest kings, during those times. And this was around the 10th to 11th century. Agokoli, because of his strength and way of doing his things, we must say that maybe at that time Agokoli was powerful as Antihini today. So he took all the Ga-Dangmes that went into ransom. They became his subjects. Few of them were still remain in Ile-Ife, but the majority that came under the leadership of Agokoli became subjects. And whilst we were migrating, there were already leaderships or leaders for various groups, which of course we call either the chief or the Asafo Ache. When we say Asafo Ache, Asafo means a group of people. In Aka we say Asafo for her, or Chidom, So those Asafo always have their leader, So when they settled under Agokoli, Agokoli demanded that he is only king, that there shouldn't be any other chief or king under him. So we suffered a dismantle of our kingship under Agokoli. So there was no chief during the time. We were all servants serving Agokoli. At that point, we were forced to speak the Ewe language so that we couldn't have organized any coup d'etat. Because if you speak any different language that they don't understand, it could end up with something else. So everybody was charged to speak Ewe. And if you bear with me, a lot of Dangmes up to date understand Ewe fluently, especially when you go to those of them around the shores or the riverside, Adans and the Osudokus and things. They still speak Ewe because they trade with them. So they were there for years, and I believe the kind of hardship they were going through became unbearable. So at a point, they were then planning how to escape. But Agokoli made us to build a wall around his kingdom with a common gate and guards. So there was no way you could escape. And those days when they are building mud houses, the walls are thicker to maybe 9 or 12 inches. So to break it is not easy, until they also came out with their plans. So they advised the ladies, the women who does washing, that whenever they wash, they have a particular side of the wall that they should be pouring the water on. They did this for some time, so that place became soft, and they were able to create a hole through the wall. And they have been celebrating maybe festivals or maybe rituals, So at one point, while they were celebrating the festivals or their rituals or customary rites, Agokoli was fed by our people with palm wine. Our people knows how to tap palm wine very well, So the king and his kinsmen became very happy. And so our people were drumming and dancing. This kind of Ewe or the Ewe cultural drum that they call, what do they call it? Achiagbeko. Normally they dance backwards. Aha. So whilst they were drumming and dancing and the king became tipsy, very happy, excited, our people started dancing backwards, not knowing it was a strategy for them to escape. Because if you move forward, they will trace your footsteps. So going backwards was like, then maybe they are ahead, or rather, they were going back. And in those days, we all realized that there were certain mysterious things that happened to human life, whether directly from heaven or spiritually commanded, like Moses did to save the Israelites. We were among the tribes that was, saved from Egypt to Israel. And according to history, when I went to Israel to find out, there were 12 clans that migrated from Egypt to Israel. But when they got to Israel, there were other issues, So 9 out of the 12 migrated. So currently, the tribes in Israel, we have only 4 tribes in Israel. The rest of the 9 migrated, and we are part of the 9 that migrated. Okay. So back to Agokoli, they managed to escape. But then, according to history, there was an eagle, and then a python, a snake, and an old lady who was grown, I think along the line, turned into a python, and the old lady was also directing them where to go. Whilst they also have an eagle who was leading them through the way so that they will not meet any enemy on the way. And for that reason, we have names which are affiliated or common like eagle, and we call it Kole, or Koleki, or Kolete. When we say Kole, it's an eagle. And they came all the way. You can imagine from Togo all the way here. There were pregnant women, there were aged, there were kids. So somewhere along the line, those who got tired and couldn't come further may have to settle somewhere. So today, if you go to part of the Volta region, we still have Dangmes who are in the Volta region. A place like where they weave kente, what's the name? There's a Dangme tribe that weave kente in the Volta region, And they have been celebrating Kente Festival. I don't know if any of you is from that area, So some, had to remain on the way. But the stronger ones were able to make it all the way to the river that we call the Volta River. When they got to the river, now, when they saw the river, they realized that the river looks like the Jordan River in Israel. So they're like, it is not the Jordan River in Israel. So Dangmes, those of you who are Dangmes, how do we call the Volta River? Thank you. So you see the difference? The reason why we call it Jordan River. The water is as salt as the Jordan River. That is how the Dangmes call it, River Jo or Jo. Mysteriously, they were able to cross the river. From the history, some commanded other animals. For instance, my tribe that is known today as Numesey, they said they were helped by crossing the river by a crocodile. So our symbol is a crocodile. And others had other means, those who could swim and other things. So they managed to cross the river to the other side of the river. Then they came beyond the Krubo Hills, came and met the flat land. So they decided that, okay, we will settle here. For here, we believe that we have come very far, that Agokoli and his warriors cannot come, So at that point, like I said, there was no chief, there was no leadership. What we had then was the priests and the priestesses, because as for those Wulomo and Woying and Nyomel, they are spiritual incarnated people. So Agokoli couldn't have taken it from them, because as for spirit, it comes by its own. And the moment they start drumming and dancing, the spirit will come over these people. So that one, he couldn't take it from them. So those were people that were helping to also lead the multitude to migrate. So at the time we're coming, there was no chief or Asafwache. It was through the shrine praise and then the intervention of whatever spirit that was assisting us to get to the area which we are going to talk about. Now, when they got there and settled and realized that the warriors of Agokoli could not come, they then decided that, okay, but in a mix of people or in a society, there should be a need of a leadership. So may have to appoint our leaders. For that matter, maybe choose a chief or install a chief. These were the tribe that came, that is the Shai, the Ningo, the Adans, the Krobo. The Krobos were one. Today they've divided into Manya and Yilo, but they were one group. Then we had the Pom. The Pom people are also part of the Ga-Dangmes, excluding Pram Pram. Pram Pram was not part then, but even the people of Teshi and La, which is Labadi, were all part of us at that point. Now, when it came to choosing of leadership, that was where problems started. Every group wanted their person or their people to lead the crusade or the people. So out of it, as you are seeing today, chieftaincy issues all over. Obia, Filsa, or Yoga. All the tribes were just trying to push somebody from their own to lead. So that was where they had a misunderstanding that, if we had a bond, that brought us together, why can't we go back to the bond to choose one person to lead us? And they disagreed. So over there, they realized that unity which brought them together and brought them this far, has been taken away. So they said something in Ewe known as Lolovo. I'm sure we have an Ewe here. So when we say Lolovo, what does it mean? Odasan. Love is finished, because separation then set in. So everybody decided with his group to remigrate for final settlement. So, in the human settlement, we have various jobs that others do. Some are farmers, some are fishermen, some are weavers, a whole lot. So those who think they can fish decided to go or look for where rivers or sea, so the Adans and the Ningos then decided to trace to the shore, which of course they got it finally, and then they settled there. The Osudokus also went to where they are today, which is Osuwem. And then the Krobos, which we call the Klo, also went to the other side of the hill, which is known as the Krobo Hills. But the Shais, who were then the majority, who formed the majority, was able to supersede and took over the land, which is known as Lolovo area. So the Shais remained there. But since they were not too sure that one day maybe Agokoli and his people will come after them, the hunters among them went around looking for places where they could save themselves, especially with children. So they then discovered the caves in the hills. So they were living in the caves at the hills. That's why we have the Shai Hills. When you go there, you see caves, well-built caves, not by human, by nature, where they were living. And the Krubous that same, the Sudoku were also same. So that was how the settlement ended. The Shais also had their groups, including the Mla. When we say Mla, we have two groups that form the Mla. We have Mla Hyome and Mla Lekweje, and then we have Hyonwe, we have Lenoje, we have Manya, and then we have Numesey. These were the 6 groups that were identified in the hills as far back as the 14th century, when the whites were able to come close to us to begin to take our history. So that was how the Shais settled over there. After some years, those days there were powers that be from other tribes that want to subdue other tribes, take over their lands, and then become their subject. And it started from the Dintras and Ashantis, the Akwamus, who were then in Bono, who were not here, but they fought their way all out to come here. When they came, they finally, came to the hills, and they were beating the Guans. The hills was the Guans' land. And in history, if you look at the history of Ghana, all of us came and met the Guans. So if we are talking of maybe original owners of Ghana or settlers in Ghana that we came and met were the Guans. And if we talk of the Guans, we are talking of the people who speak the Guan language, like the Latte, the Ebrew, the Dukrum, Num, and the rest. So whilst the Akwamus were trying to also defeat the Guans, they also went for reinforcement from Chebi, and Chihine gave them his younger brother. Then the king of Chebi was known as Oforipeni. Of course, the current chief is Oforipeni, but at that time they had Oforipeni who occupied Achimebuakwas too. So he ordered his junior brother, who was Oforikuma, to lead the warriors to come and fight against the Akwamus. Of course, when they came, they were able to push the Akwamus away. So majority of the Akwamus remigrated again until they got to Adome. The meaning of the Adome is simply that when they got to the river, they wanted to test the depth of the river, see how deep the river is. So one person who sacrificed is called Adum. So Adum then stepped into the river to see whether they could cross. And Adum was drowned. He never came back. So the name there, Adome, is Adum Amem. That is the meaning of Adome. So it took them time to discover a place where they could cross the river to the other side, which has been their traditional home to date, right? So during the time, there was nothing like Ashanti Kingdom. The Ashantis also have or had their various groups. They have the Drabin, they have the Kokofu, the Nsuta, the Mampong, Asumeja, and Kwamai, and then today one as Kumewu. These 5 or 6 or 7 tribes or groups of Ashantis were all on their own separately. They were not together. But the Kwaman is now known, it's not Kumasi, but then it was called Kwamai. And so these guys or the groups also go to war on their own. Like if Insuta want to go and attack, they go on their own. If the Mampong people also want to attack, they go on their own. They were not together as such. But at a point, the Ashantis realized that the Kwaman people realized that the Dentra people were, outwitting them so much that they couldn't do anything. They were serving the Dentra kingdom. The Dentra kingdom was one of the first powerful kingdoms in the history of Ghana. So it got to a point where Dentra Hene can send his men, the soldiers or warriors, to Kwama and say, go and tell Kwama Hene that I said he should bring me his wife. There is a saying that in Akan that they say, Brebra ma, Amania ma. It's simple as the Dentra King's wife was called Brebre, and then the Kwaman chief's wife was also called Amania. So at a point where the Dentra Hene sent for the Kwaman Hene's wife, and said, we have been serving you with everything. Now you want my wife. If you want my wife, then of course you must also bring your wife. So if you don't bring Brebre, then Amania too will not come. But today we say it without even understanding what we are talking about. So out of that, when we talk of traditional system of war, the Akwamus were the originators of tribal wars because of how they migrated. The Akwamus here are not Guans, neither are they Achim or maybe Asante. They are Bonus. But why did they migrate or migrated here? The king at that time had twins, and at a point when he grew, he became very old. He started telling the kingmakers, so if you are maybe the Jasihini, he will call you and say, when I die, please give the throne to Atapeni. Then he will go and call Nifahini. Nifahini, when I die, give the throne to Atakakra. So when he died, there was this division. A part was supporting Kakra, others were supporting Penny. So it became a conflict between the two. But Atapeni then decided that he's not going to fight his brother. He will want to migrate. That is how they started migrating all the way through Kede, Ashaiman, KWESI, which we call Ashaiman, KWESI, the other towns, what's the name? Through Sawam, then got to Abri. So when they got to Abri, was where Adesu and things, was where they started fighting the Guans. So currently, the chief of Abri is a nephew to Akwamuhini because they are Akwamus that came and settled there, including Ashaiman, KWESI, Adesu, and Kede, and other areas as well. But when they moved here, normally in Akan's strategy, when they are able to take over the people and the land, they will install a chief or a leader over there on their behalf. So whilst they were migrating to their current abode, they left that place for their work there. Right. So back to the Ashantis. The Ashantis now realize that Akwamus has a very enviable strategy for war. And because they wanted to also stand against the Dentras, So they brought one of their royals to come and learn the strategy of the Akwamus for war. And that happened to be the first Osei Tutu. So Osei Tutu was brought to Akwamu to be trained. Whilst he was there, he had an engagement with then Okomfanoche. Okomfanoche apparently was imprisoned by Akwamuhine at that time because he predicted that there was going to be a war and Akwamuhine should avert that war because if he tried, he would lose the war. And the king got upset and imprisoned Komfanoche. At that time, Osei Tutu I was there. Osei Tutu I became a very close friend to Komfanoche. And when the throne of Kwaman became vacant, they then sent for Osei Tutu to be installed as the king of Kwaman. Now, when they sent for him, the Akwamuhine, with his good relationship and the good services that the Osei Tutu I rendered at the palace, he decided that he cannot let Osei Tutu go alone because then there was no vehicles or even donkeys. You have to walk through the forest. And so he ordered 300 men. And these men, mostly, about 90% of them were the Enums. We have a tribe called Enum. On the way to Peki, you turn left, Enum and Enum Boso. All these people were then subject under Akwamuhine. So he ordered men from Enum to guide Osei Tutu all the way to Kumasi. Now, when he went and was made the chief of Kwaman, the guards that took him there wanted to come back to Akwamu. But the chief or the king refused because he thought that he has gotten some trustworthy people, because he has not stayed with his own people. So he begged them to stay with them. And so the place where they were giving, or by name, was known as Enum. But I don't know how it changed today to become Edum. So when you go to Kumasi, we have the main central point of Kumasi called Edum. But originally it is Enum because of the Enum people that guided the Osei Tutu I. Because of some goodies that Komfanoche or Osei Tutu did, because when Osei Tutu was to be taken away, he begged Akwamuhine to release his friend, who happened to be Komfanoche, from his prison. And the king listened and released Komfanoche. So Komfanoche then gave Osei Tutu his word that, in fact, Akwamus within that time were the greatest warriors within the southern sector of Ghana, But he's going to make him a powerful king against the Akwamus. So later, Komfanoche went to see his friend and then managed to call all the other 7 tribes of Ashanti Kingdom together. And at that time, these 7 clans had their Amahine, which we call paramount chiefs today, and told them that, look, before you can take over this country, you have to come together, By coming together, you need one person to lead you. And so we're going to choose one king that becomes a king of the Ashanti, so that you form a kingdom to fight the rest of the country. And that South of Komfanoche was able to conjure the Sikajwa Kofi for the Ashanti Kingdom. And they all agreed, When the Sikajwa Kofi was conjured, they needed even a human sacrifice to purify the stew. And one of the kings, decided that he would sacrifice. And what is the name? So the Ashantis have a saying that, and you'll be in a kumentry, you got it? So after that, the Osei Tutu the first became very powerful because he was the first king of the Ashanti kingdom. And because of the way the Dangerous were treating them, they decided now to go and fight the Dangerous. The Dangerous were also smart because we had also gone to war with the part of the Ashantis, that is the Insuta. You know we have a place called Insuta, Mampo Insuta in Ashanti. They were the first to also come and fight part of the others, especially from Peki all the way to Hokwa and things. And so when you go there, and because of that, most of the Guans also migrated to that area. So if you go to Jasikan and its environs, you realize that they speak Guan mixed with Ewe. They are not original Ewes. They are Guans, so we classify them as Guans as well. So when they came and fought them, was where some discovered, they discovered a lot of things that our people were doing there. And there were, like I said, there were Ga-Dangmes who were also settled there, So this Atintimbeng that is being blown for Ashanti, it's not originally generated by the Ashantis, but it was our own things that they came and discovered and took the people to Kumasi. 2, they also came and met our people weaving bow. You know what we call bow? Cloth. And they took them to and said, look, we want you to go and weave some of them. So they asked them, what are you people doing? But then there was a language barrier. You don't understand my language, neither do I understand yours. But maybe by signs, you understand. So what are you doing? And they say, Wangabolo. So they took these people and hid them in a forest somewhere and said, Munya Bonibi, Emma Yehene. So they hid them in the forest. So anytime they are going to feed them or going to them, they will say that Yakobe Bia and Crofona and Unibono Etie. And that is how we have Boyure. So originally Boyure or Boyure is from Dangmes. So if you go to Agotime Potoi, you see that they also weave Kente like Ashanti. But the original Kente weaving is Dangmes that are settled in Agotime Potoi. But you see how the Ashantis has been able to polish it because they form majority of our tribes in Ghana. About 45% of the Ghanaian people are Ashantis, and the rest is divided for the rest of us. So that is what it is. The Boyure or Bo is not Ashanti language; it's Dangme, but they have, taken it from us. And like I said, Edum, for instance, is Enum, but they change it to become Edum. So if there is an Ashanti here, typical Ashanti man, when he's counting 1, 2, 3, instead of starting like Baku Mienu Miensa, you hear them say Ko, no, Sa. I'm sure if you listen to some of the song of Nana Champon, Ko, no, Sa. Ko, no, Sa is not an Ashanti language. It's a Guan language. The latter people speak Ko, no, Sa, Ne, Nums, Sien, Kono. I mean, I understand a little bit, so that is how it was, So when they decided to now go and fight the Dentra kingdom, because the Dentras has also realized that they were able to stop the part of the Ashantis, that is the Insutas, from fighting the Ewes, and if you look at the system that they used to fight, I mean, it is the military system. you don't put all your men at the war front at a go. You divide them. We call them battalions. So the first battalion will go, the second battalion is behind, and then you have a reserve of 10 battalion on and on. So when these people are fighting and they need assistance, then the second battalion goes, you know. So when the first battalion were losing the fight, they were then calling for reinforcement, the second battalion to come with ammunitions. And that was where the tribe of, one of the tribes of the Shais, known as Numesey. But the name is not, originally it is not Numesey. The original name is called Dodo. But when they came to settle at the hills, they had this pot that they used to store oil, like palm oil or palm kernel oil in it. But those days, those things are expensive, you know. And this group of warriors were living behind that pot. So when they are calling for meeting, they ask, oh, Ochame, go and call our brothers behind the pot, the oil pot. And that's how our name changed from Dodo to Numesey. So Nume is meaning the oil pot. But the original name is called Dodo. So it is the Dodo or the Numesey, who were the greatest warriors also of the Shais, that went in to stop the reinforcement that was being called from Ashanti to come and support them. They stopped them. Now, the warriors couldn't go, and those who were at the war front couldn't also have come back. And so they ended up settling there. And those are the KJB people. If you go to KJB, they are Ashantis. They are not Ewes. So I remember when Osei Tutu II came, he went to visit the KJB township because they are typical Ashantis that were left there because the fear was that the Dodo people might kill them when they tried to go back. But these are all, history of centuries that we cannot use against anybody. But of course, since it has happened, we will definitely have to narrate for people to understand that this is how Ghana is made up, you know. So when the Ashanti decided to also descend on the Dangerous were smart enough to also come and hire the people of Shai, that is the Numesey or the Dodo clan, to come and support them against the Ashantis. And they went, all right. Unfortunately, the Dangerous won that war against the Ashantis because the first king of the Ashanti kingdom, Osei Tutu, died at that war front. So we have a saying that Osei Tutu died when crossing River Pra. I'm sure you might have heard it before. And the River Pra is an Offenso, that is the Dangerous traditional area, you know. I wasn't there, these are history, but I'm sure that the Ashantis made their investigations and realized that it was this small group from Shai here that came and supported them to have that atrocity. So they then went back and planned to come and attack the Shais. And of course, talking about tribes, we were one of the smallest tribes compared to others within the country. So they thought, say, oh, we move there 1 minute, you know. So they put themselves together, and then the chief of Dodowa, and also Bonsu, and then the acting chief of Ashanti or Kwaman, then OKUKRUBOUR, they decided that they will come. So they organized themselves to come and attack us. I'm sure we're not happy with the way the Ashantis were trying to, you know, overtake all the tribes in the country. So maybe they also informed our people, equipped them with weapons and, you know, gunpowder. Those times there were not enough of bullets, but gunpowders, you know. So our people also put themselves together. And NENE, or then the leader was AGYEMANG, who went to the Dangerous War, which was called or known as the Battle of Nsamanko. was the target. So he also went around all the Dangmes and the Ga tribes, informed them that, look, the Ashanti's strategy of fighting Ukuma Apim Apim Bebano, the Apim doesn't come from the sky. When they kill the warrior, the rest of you become their subject. So automatically, you are commanded to fight for them. So if they come and they are coming to fight us, they will come to Dodowa, come and see me. Nana, we don't have a problem with you. We have a problem with Ayikuma. Permit us to walk through your land. Ignorantly, you accept. When they go and they are able to outwit the leaders or the warrior or the king of Ayikuma, they will now add the people of Ayikuma to them. So if they are 100 when they were passing, by the time they come, they've gotten maybe 200 from Ayikuma to join them and come. And they will leave spies, to monitor your movement. So by the time they finish and come here, the spies that they leave here will be able to know all your strategies, and they use it to attack you. So that is how they got that appellation, Ukuma Apima Apimbeba. If they don't get the Apim from here, then they fall on the northern part, bring people from the north to come and assist them and fight. But unfortunately for them, the Dangmes or the Shah or Natajimai, was able to realize their plans and their strategy. So they came, and because they didn't know the route well, they first appeared at a small village called Katamanso. So they forced the people to direct them where can they find the shrine. But now, you will hear every Ga-Dangme man taking an oath of allegiance and mentioning in Katamanso, I swear by Katamanso. But the first historian that wrote about the Katamanso said that about 80% of the Ga-Dangme warriors arrived at the Katamanso war when the war had already ended. See, so then the Shais had also been informed that they were coming to attack them. So they also, put their warriors at a vantage point. And the barrier then was at a place known today as Oyibi. But how we came by Oyibi was that the warriors were placed there. And if you are approaching them, they will ask you a question. I mean, if they ask you Dangme or Ga, Joya, Mboya, if you are able to speak the Dangme or the Ga, they will direct you the right path that will take you home. So they will tell you, if you take this route or path, you will get home. But if you take here, you'll be beheaded. So the meaning is Koguhio Oyawe, Koguhio Oyibe. Okay, so that is what gave that name Oyibi. But the meaning is Oyibe. So they were there like maybe ordinary people who were directing people. The warriors, the Ashanti warriors were not lucky. So they directed them to come to Oyibe, and they entered the Dodowa forest. And in those days, when they are going for war, you see today at festivals, you see a king or a chief being carried in palanquin, and we use it for fun. Those times, it wasn't for fun. It was for war. So the warrior himself, the chief warrior, is the one that is carried in palanquin, because he has to see, beyond and give command. So whilst the Jabehinin or Sebunsu was being carried in the palanquin, Natajiman was also being carried in palanquin by his people. And the two of them crashed at the Dodowa forest. Then Natajiman was able to behead the leader of the Ashantis, that is Osebunsu, and together with his warriors, including the 2nd Battalion. So the 3rd Battalion, who were waiting for reinforcement, couldn't have come because they lost all their people and they have to run for their life. So on their way going, they met this man who used to sell parrot, apple, for the whites at a cross junction, you know. Now, at that point, they met this man known as Ko-Ofori, or whether it's Kofi Ofori or Kwaku Ofori, and then told him, say, in fact, they don't know the story they are going to tell back home. So they want to settle with him under the tree. And you better not go for it, say. So today, what is the name? So you see how these things was done. And that brought a tribal war to an end in this country, because the Ashantis were drastically defeated, and they were not having, or they never had any support from the colonial masters, because they were disturbing the colonial masters. They were very strong, very, very strong, and they were united because they speak one language. And especially when they decided through Konfanochi to put their forces together, they became untouchable. So for us to be able to defeat them, you know, we were the heroes to the colonial masters, you know. And like I said this thing happened in 1826. The war ended exactly on the 7th of August, 1826. So we are within the celebration of the Katamanso War. We are in August, isn't it? So call it like a week ago, the war ended. We need to make merry. So that is how then NENE AGYEMANG, who was then known, but then like I told you, we're not having chiefs, we're not having paramount chiefs. So the groups and their leader is called Asafwache. So then NENE, or Asafwache Nata AGYEMANG, who led the war and was in the palanquin, decided that he and his Dodo people will remain here, will not go back again. They were thinking that, or they believed, that the Ashantis might come back again, as they say, but the rest of the Dangmes or the Shais that came to support him went back to, hence the name Dodo, where the Ododo are settled. So this is the history of Dodowa. Thank you.
Well, viewers, I hope you are having fun with the history behind Dodowa. That's nice, that's nice. The chief, after the whole story told the young people, he made room for more questions from these young people to answer these questions that might be boggling their mind. And this is what he has to answer their question. Watch out.
Kingdoms and the whites, which happened around the Dodowa trends. So I wanted to know how that blends with the Dodowa. Was it formed before the Dodowa, or the Dodowa was there before that war happened? Because they named it the War of Dodowa. So I just want to know the blend of.
The white colonial masters and any of the tribes, including Ashanti, the colonial masters wanted Ashanti to be part of their jurisdiction, you know, but the Ashantis, because of their wiseness, were resisting. So they were rather pushing them as to get hold of them. If the whites or the Ashantis want to fight the whites, they wouldn't have come to fight in Dodowa, because those whites are part of Ashanti land. They have been having their problems in their kingdom there in Numesey and its environment. Colonial matters by giving us ammunitions. That one, I mean, you can't do away with it. But to say that the war was just passing through, then we were in the Shire Hills. What would we have come here to do? Sun can fire. Maybe I attend in the caves on the hills. If anybody is coming you will see the person. You know, they used to kaketo and things. It's because they have spies on the hill. So if you are coming from 10 kilometers away, you will be spotted. And if they want to outwit you, they will outwit you easily. So we wouldn't have come here to fight. But the Ashantis came purposely to fight the Dangmes, not the whites. You know, somebody wrote an episode on social media, and I challenged it, that the war, we were able to defeat the Ashantis because the colonial masters, the whites, imported in the Biafra warriors to come and support us. But you'll be a baby to say this, and this was written by a professor. The Biafra war was fought in 1960, 1962, 64, which Ojugu, who was the leader of the Biafra war, was a trained soldier in Ghana here. And we are talking of 1826, talking of 1962. Are you serious? You see how people can adulterate history? Because me person mechanic as a mediano and I there. So as here. I've told you, sir, the Ashantis were the greatest warriors together with the Akwamus and the Dintras. They underrated us. But they rejected stone. Oh, they are saying, and I've been telling them, it's in Shobu, I can say in Shobu, man can say Pamome. Why is it that they couldn't go back to Kumasi and settle at Koforidia under the Koforidia Nasi? The land wasn't for them. The land they are living on is for the part is for the Chims and part is for the Akwapims. You know why it's called Ajiso in Koforidia? Still, it is the latter people that are still a chief at Ajiso because it is their land. When Queen Victoria wanted to buy the land for them because they were now being chased to go back, and these are people who didn't want to go because they thought that they found shelter somewhere. You know, so while the Chebi or the Achim people were trying to take the land from them, they became, devastated. So the queen decided that let me buy the land for them. Achim for Masa Asin Ebesi, 10,000 acres. Said those days in pounds, 10,000 pounds. A cropping for Muslimu a Kodruhin. But the Krapims refused to sell. They said they should settle. So today, this is from
being fair to we the new generation. I think it's time we should be visiting our, let me say, our villages, our towns for the insight of the history itself. Because I'm from the Mahinku.
Okay.
So yes, please. Ediana.
That's right.
So when you want to know the story behind the Bono and the Asantes, it also differs from what the Asantes says and what the Bonos also says. And you can see that all the tribes who led the war in between the Asantes and them had their different stories to tell about what happened to the Asantes and what the Asantes also have to say about us. But it seems like history itself has been written about the Ashantis more than the other tribes, which I feel like is not being fair in a way. So I think it's time we should be visiting our towns and villages.
So Damahini was saying that though they are within your jurisdiction, they are my people. If you want to install a chief, I should be the first person to be introduced to, and I give my blessings before you can install a chief. Like what's the name of the area? Odru Onimapel's area, what's the name? Forgotten the area. So you cannot just go as Asantine and say, Mafawe, Nisini. But you're supposed to be consulted by Domahine. You understand? But because the Ashantis, like I said, form majority of our Ghanaian tribe, and they have been able to come out with one monarchy or the king. So when Asantini speak, whether I entro or I nukreno, Obiabe support because ye uranakasa. Mind you, I was brought up in Kumasi. I served in Menshia for 6 years as an Ahinkwa. So I understand where I'm coming from. I will never undermine the kingship or the leadership of Asante. But when it comes to history, let us be fair to ourselves. Obia person can be a near cassette, you know, the histories were there before our current Asantino said to the second. But when he took over, what did he do? He was able to engage Professor George Hagan and Professor Arine Odote to rewrite their history, to suit them. So, yours is not written, it has become a verbal narrative. But they have written there, it is there. In museums, tell you all sorts of things. I was in Kumasi when OKUKRUBOUR was, you know, erecting the Mention Museum. And I've been telling my brother, when we went and picked the claws and the sword and things of Yasantua, the place is called Sirasu Timpo. You know, Yakwa na iwa na no de aduane ne aduane. Abobo asai ntare na tete na sinsen ho. And that day President Rawlings was there with helicopter. So what we did, we carried the broken pots no ne aduane and the sword ne aduane, brought them to Kumasi. Then Achame Bafakuto say, look, we say to me shishe. Munko market na munko to krobofo no pot ni bi enfamra. And they brought the pot and they know what they did, you know, to make it look old. Then you be seeing near Puagu, near the idea cataso. 1 week, 2 weeks, I will fire. It's an idea of fun forest somewhere 100 years. And our dear so no catch us a cook away, and I asked and try the year. Now, our hobby. So, will you challenge him? So, you see, smartness. You're trying to for outsmart us in so many ways and means. They've been able to, you know, elevate their kinship beyond level of understanding. What do I say? Today, if you are talking of kinships within Africa, if Asantini is not second, he will be third or even first. You got it? It's all because the unity of the people is what is pushing them to move forward. We have a lot of divisions among us. Obia person ya AGYEMANG, but maybe I'm in from AGYEMANG. So they say that is why AGYEMANG Bedu always comes out to tell them, say, look, we have never been under you. We were together, and when we realized our person DS, and I 2 years near Kotina your baby. And now to Makaja said, and now Ukunda Marcus, yes, Yankumobi. We also killed some of the Ashanti kings. If Dodowa should rise up today and say, you will see the things that will come out today. And because of my affiliation with them, I will not go in public to say these things. Because when it comes to money, they have. When it comes to the population, they have. When it comes to influence, they have. Politics, they have. Everything, money, they have it. How can you fight such a person? In Tubaka, we are not Tunkeka, now call baby. But most of the things they say there are not true. Thank you. Now, if you go and ask them how did they come back with Kente, they will tell you, so Omuko to Anansi, and Obiya Anansi B, and Ohra Anansi. So, this is not true. Why do they call it Bo? What is Bo in Ashanti? If you say Bo in Ashanti, do we have any meaning of Bo? But Okoka now on into. But the indigenous know, sir, Sanet here. You see, they saw our depot and things, and they decided to also imitate it by doing bragro. Yes, let's move on. Yes, madam.
That speak the language.
No. If you are taken by wars or you are being hijacked or like I said, there are new people who even guided the Asante, they cannot speak Anu today. All they can remember is the Kornosa. Ga-Dangme is my very good friend. He's a retired military officer from the US, and I've been with him for some time. He doesn't even, I don't think he even has ever been to the Nupe where his forefathers came from. You see, one of the things that, you know, we normally talk about is what we call, how do you call it? Intercrache. Do you know what we call intercrache? The decoy of the king. Well, also we share intercrache, not or different kinds of colors or feathers near the Ayeche. That was when they were taking us into from Akwamu to Pamai. So they were picking these feathers of birds through the forest. In Jamuya, but because of the colors of it, it was something new. Everybody was looking at it. Today, it has come to be part of the kinship, so we call it decoy. What was that lesson? To say, I don't want this idea of you see, and somebody use his own common sense to do this. But look what we say as scientists, you can find out the commanding free. Now, the Muslim white couple, why do we come to Dodowa? The Kwamus were able to fight the whites at the castle, went to the castle, locked the castle gates, and took the keys. And the keys that they took are still with our community. In China, I said, oh, we bring Kwakuno to castle over Dodowa. Because at that time, not what we call barter trading. Abrafunu de Nyamaba, they bring gold dust, not Dodowa was a market center, the biggest market center here. Until they've been coming, they bring their gold to come and exchange with salt, Nyama. So, until they leave the terrain, until so, because you're not Abrafunu, and you're no credit. I can't credit. Have I answered your question? Nothing. Why from Igbo or?
Okay, if we then use gunpowder to fight the times, why is it at this time of our days, when there is a deba or there is a barrier of a king or some kingship, nowadays they use the gunpowder as something, they even said it doesn't kill. But at times, they use the gunpowder to fight and it kills. Why is it that this time around it's not killing it?
No, those days, they manufacture the kind of sample. They have a way of manufacturing the bullet. Now, but not and yes sealed like today. Until when you do the gunpowder, you add metal bullet, in addition, with the shape. It's be when they buy 3 and now 4, when they buy more papa no here hunters, they will tell you. Who the baby before you shoot. It's a gunpowder, but the bullet in a woman and the cook in the pan. But not any sort like BBAA today. So it has been modified. But even if you open the bullet today, we say gunpowder was here. Remember? Any other question? Yes.
My name is Chief of Dodowa.
We can come forward.
My name is Chief of Dodowa. I've been in Dodowa here for barely 3 years now, and I've made certain observations about the festival of the Shai people. When you look at our neighbor, for example, Ada, there's a Futu festival. You can see that the entirety of the Ada area, come together to celebrate it. A week-long festival, they celebrate it together at Adawi. But then I've made observation even in Dodowa, when it's time for you could see that it is dispersed. This area are having theirs. That is what I learned. This sector also having theirs. I'd like to know, why is it not done in unison? Why is it not together? And then it is done in sect, and you could have it celebrated here, done here, and then you don't have the the kind of feel you would want to see when it's a festive time, the kind of even the economic benefit it's supposed to bring into the township and all that. You don't see it being reflected in the township. So I want to know why it is this way and what brought about.
Thank you. The Mayan festival, unlike any other festival, is celebrated together within the traditional setup. Now, this is what happened. The people of Manya, after migrating or descending from the Shai Hills, their first settlement area is known as Jopanya. Before they came to join us here, the Presby B area there is for the Manya people. We were together, we celebrated the festival together until somewhere 2004, when I learned one Asafuache was stood against another sitting chief, because that Asafuache refused to take an oath of allegiance to his superior. So they then have to stood another one against the one that has disrespected the superior. Now, there was that friction that the third one was living here at Dodowa, and that's where they have their blacks too. So when the fourth one was made, he couldn't have come to Dodowa here to perform any rite or rituals. But then the Jopanya has been an abandoned village. So he decided that if they will not allow him to operate here, then he will go back to the ancestral home and resettle. So when he resettled, I was there one day when he came to the council and treated that he wanted to also start organizing his people to know that this is the ancestral home. And this was in 2004, So the council then agreed, which of course I was part of it, that okay, since it's part of the Shire area, we'll allow you to also start something from there. Nobody knows what happened, and I don't want to go deep into it because people become greedy and wicked. And this gentleman was able to hijack all the lands within the area because most of our lands were not registered. As you know, in the olden days, nobody registered land. We use boundaries to identify our extent of our land. But he managed to take advantage of unregistered land, took their lands and started selling, and enriched himself. So after the then president of the traditional council died, Opana now decided that he is the originator of Maye festival. So he want to be, having Maye or celebrating Maye within his area, which of course we disagree. But let me tell you people something. The biggest challenge we have in the southern part of Ghana, the Ga-Dangme and even the West, is because we have a lot of lawyers who don't have any job to do. We have a lot of judges who are sending their wards to school in abroad. So what do? They extort money from us. In the assembly, lawyer who be a fine case who was scammed by Obediaman. And the lawyers and the judges are cosmates. So if I get a lawyer who have you as a cosmate or the assembly automatically I will lose my case. And I either give you land or I sell the land and give you money. So that has enriched, some useless people, and it's like they've gotten some kind of powers over the original indigenes of the land. That is how the Jopanya people celebrate their manifesto. So we came together that if you go to the Papiri range, every town celebrates Ojura, but the first celebration is held at Ekropom. After Ekropom, then the rest will also go and celebrate and sit in state with their people. So if that be the case, we decided that okay, Jopanya should do the first celebration together with the Asafaches. Then the Ayikuma will also gather themselves, and then the climax will be in Dodowa. I don't see anything wrong with it. But like I'm saying, somebody is now deciding that he will even, oversight Dodowa but the youth has taken over. Some of them are here. They are saying no, it won't happen again. So, and yes, sir, somebody, we don't celebrate it together. We normally celebrate it together. We are together. We are one people. But just as somebody has decided to hijack the property of the whole state, when you have money, especially those into media, who was a campaign over to you can even bring CNN to come and capture it. Now, I say, you got it. But festivities are celebrated in the traditional area at a particular point. That's what it is. Yeah.
It's to me that there is no paramountcy when it comes to traditional here. Because when you go to other jurisdictions and traditional areas, they are sub-chiefs and then they have their paramount. But then, with respect to what you just narrated, it suggests to me there is no there is nobody that is established as a paramount.
Let me just save your breath. The system of child paramountship is by rotatory. What it is that we have three major divisions in child, and the stools of these three major divisions are equally paramount. So we have a commission report gazetted, led by Ms. Audrey Commission. This commission's report that was gazetted states that the three divisions, that is the Mna Lepeje, the Mna Hyome, and the Hyome division, are equally paramount. But because we form a common traditional council, the paramountcy should be on rotational basis. And our own was not democratic or by alphabetical order, but till death. Okay? So if I become the paramount chief, when I die, then the next person, either from Nyongwe, becomes the paramount chief, if they have a chief. If he dies, then he goes to Lekweje. That is what is supposed to be. This has been not only in Shah, but other areas. Now, what they've been able to do is that they've been able to amend it to the National House of Chiefs, and they will all be elevated to paramountcy. But the presidency of the Traditional Council is what is being rotated alphabetically. We've not been able to do that because the last person among the rotational system was NENE Nagayakasa VII from Agomeda. Unfortunately, he was not gazetted as a paramount chief before he died. So we are claiming that me, from Hyome, supposed to take over the paramountcy. But then we're having a lot of chieftaincy disputes at the regional house and other areas that people don't want to accept the truth. And the other person who was maneuvered, went around whatever, and got a gazette and claiming that he's a paramount chief. But we are saying that no, so far as there's a laid down procedure, let us follow it. So you see, if I want to have my way, I'll go and support the wrong person, and I'll be doing what I want to do. That is the challenge we are having. And I'm speaking to you because you are living here, so that tomorrow morning, when you meet somebody and he's telling you the story, you'll be able to stand straight and tell the person, say, yeah, oh boy. And yes, because there are documents to it. Okay, I am a curator, and when you go to archaeology, we have all these informations and the fact that you can go to archives to double check. I will not tell you anything that you cannot trace. You got it. But aside that, aside the paramountcy, we have divisional chiefs. From the divisional chiefs, we have sub-chiefs and others. So in the absence of a substantive paramount chief, one of the divisional chiefs supposed to take over as the acting president of the house. This is what it is. Are you okay? All right. Any other? Go ahead.
But
Oh,
then
that's why we're here.
right. So when it comes to, again, I've made the observation about the general development within the Shire, especially within Dodowa. I heard of Dodowa, when I was very young.
You are a small boy, right? You don't know what it has been there.
Yeah, it has been there. So I know it's an old town. So, but then the expectations I was having of Dodowa prior to me coming here wasn't what I'm really seeing. And over the years, I've realized that the pace of development and then the youth development within the area, especially within the Dodowa town, it's not progressive enough to bring the kind of development we want to see as an area or as a town. Especially when it comes to infrastructural development, it saddens me so much that even as a town like this, there is no effective operating bank that the least to even say about that. And then some other things you would want to see working very well in the town. I want to know. And also in addition, when it comes to the youth development, I don't know whether it's just here, but then I see the youth as in that there is no guidance for the youth. Most of the youth we have in the town are being reckless. They are going to drugs and living quite some reckless lives. I would want to know what is I don't know whether the traditional council has observed these development gaps and then the menace that is facing the youth. And if you have, what are you putting in place? What are the works you have done so far to see that this development is going on in the Shire area and especially in Dodowa, so that you could see the economic benefits coming to the people and then people becoming more comfortable?
Let me say that in the olden days or the colonial days, this whole land that you are seeing as Shire land or Shire state were grassland, that were not fertile for growing of food crops. And so our people they struggled to make live in terms of feeding until they then discovered that there were forest lands at other areas, other traditional areas that you can go and farm. And then again, when cocoa became the highest commodity for the country. So our fathers who founded Dodowa and its environs decided to migrate to go and farm in other traditional areas. If you move to Eastern region, Western region, Ashanti region and other areas, believe you me, you will see more Dangmes than even the indigenous. Most of the indigenous are rather in Accra, and it is our people who are there. Recently, when they were going for this by-election at Ashaiman, the LPP was able to, engage a lot of party executives from Dangmes, Dodowa, Adan, Ningo, Pram, and things, to go and campaign because most of the people there are Dangmes. Why are they there? Because they went there to farm. Our forefathers farmed there. Our fathers farmed there. They built their houses and everything. And I tell you, my father has villages like Numesey, Ashaiman, KWESI, Bunsu, and the rest. All areas are those where we were farming. So they abandoned this land because it was not fertile for farming. You got it? So most of our people who had education are rather in other traditional areas, of course, and they are working for that area. Those who remain here also people who migrated and managed to come and stay. Ebi beye in Nenche, ebi beye in Nyan, you know, more than like Fulanis. In today's struggle to survive. That is why today you see that an Ewe man, or excuse me, a Muslim man will say that I have 500 acres of land I am selling. Because I was not born here. I didn't know the boundaries of my father's land. When my father died, I was 5 years. Growing up to come today, you go and see the caretaker. Instead of 500 acres, he will show you 30 acres or 10 acres. So how do I help Papa there? What about the rest? So that one too was given to me by somebody to take care of. You don't have documents. So how do you challenge that person? Now he has been able to get a surveyor contractor who has come to survey the land and put in some name that you cannot even trace anywhere. Claim himself and you'll be there. If you take him to court, court will not deal with verbal, statement. You have to prove documents. I don't have documents. To make a court 10 years, I will not win my case. So the best thing for me to do is to quell. You got it. Now, our children, let me use our age group children who are born here or who are not born in other areas. So now, land in Dodowa has become a galaxy site. Survival of the fittest. We want to be 2 plotter. You make money. They can. Or Thomas has now he gets the money. What is he going to do with the money? He will buy an Okada. His father couldn't go to secondary school because in the forest area, one goes school and go to try a Form 4 or JHS. Me banner real school. Matas Ashaiman. My man is saying my money too. My warrior man. Finito. You see, so that mindset is what has adulterated us to the extent that we are not ready to even give a better education to our people. But I can stay on authority or say on authority that my reign for the past 20 years, I have been able to champion education to the people. Anywhere I found myself talking to the youth or the community, I told them that I've been able to come this far because of the little education I have. You understand? I was very fortunate to have early term education, and at age 21, I started working at the airport when I've then gained my degree. And I had opportunity by my company supporting me to go and further my education in Switzerland. I came back, worked hard, went to London again, and on and on and on. You're not looking at anybody because you need to have a role model. You see, today all over the country, and yet don't the one quiet, but it's unfortunate. But let me state that most of the people you are saying you think that they are indigenous, because they speak the language doesn't make them indigenous. They are Ewes and Muslims. But because they form the majority of the youth and they speak language, so you might think that they are language. And I'm telling you, I have 5 of my children in university. My first son just had finished his master's. You were here when I told you I was going for his graduation in Hungary. My daughter just finished his degree in Jimpa. I mean, all of them. I understand. I know the benefit of education. So I'll make sure that my children get a better education for themselves and get exposure. And we've been talking to parents. So if at this time, parents cannot change their mind and make sure that they sacrifice to give their children education, once the lands that they are depending on is gone, then of course it is their own magana. You understand? But we are preaching, we are telling them. Those of you who are also in the community, you have peers. What do you discuss with them? What do you tell them? Do you figure out what they are doing? Currently, I'm sure we are trying our best. We are pushing. The indigenous are doing well. Aside with the migrants who are just becoming landlords because they want to buy car. They want to go to park at weekend. They want to have, excuse me, women with big buttocks. You can't blame me. I can do my little part, but I cannot do all. Are you getting my point? I get worried when aliens who have come to settle with us are MPs and their DCs. Where are our people? But if you go to the account areas, you see a Ga-Dangme or a Ga-Dangme being an MP or a DCE, a director of this. Go to the institution, you see them. But because of the way we do our things, they are not even comfortable coming into our board because your great grandfathers for DNA, a whole lot of nonsense, you know. So, especially when you find yourself in a society like a church, these are the things you need to be preaching to your people. I mean, peer pressure, and we are not saying go and smoke weed or go and steal, but look, I also want to be a president one day. I want to be an MP. I want to be a DC. What about you? Let us be sharing ideas. So your little effort, my little effort, we can get there. You understand? Okay. Any other question? Unlike the Dodowa River, we have a river known as Dodowa River. It was discovered by our forefathers during the war. So the river was also named after the town, Dodowa. Then the Chempu waterfalls is a water that its source comes from the Kapil range. I think Osumase and Amanokrum, through the hills. But it's not a falls within the areas of Dodowa, which is supposed to be part of the Dodowa forest. Unfortunately, like I said, because after the war there was no food and our people have to migrate to go and farm and feed the family, they left this land. Those who managed to come back early and farm around the area has now hijacked the area as a but between you and I, who owns river on this earth? Does anybody own a river? But today, if you go there, the people from Obosumase are claiming that the river is for them. And I feel so bad that sika mi debe tuya mi masuku fees no mi nfa nkɔfa lawyer sɛ nsu anyankopɔn abɔ no yɛnkɔ di ho asɛm wɔ court. I will be a fool to have done that. So if you say the river is for you, I beg, take am. Yes, so far as I can buy water or maybe dig a borehole and get water to drink, or I can take a bucket to go and fetch water to drink. Why must I go to court and fight over a river? But I have engaged the assembly, the two municipal assemblies, both here and whatever area they call themselves, to come together and then let us have a dialogue that both parties should be beneficiaries to whatever we'll be able to generate, because that is the only waterfalls within Greater Accra that people might like to visit, instead of traveling all the way to Kintampo. We are not saying don't go there, but if you have a waterfalls here, why must I travel 8, 9, 10 hours to go to Kintampo? You see, now when you go there, what do you see? You see a slum. I mean, we smokers, excuse me, bad boys, extorting money from people. And meanwhile, that people come through the sky to the area. They walk through people's land before they get there. And to say, the bar, where your marriage should be, moving 20%, we're 20%. The assemblies take 20% here, and the traditional council, so at the 10%, I have to traditional council. I think when we are able to do that, you're better to me, but when we are fighting over small revenues, Master, I don't have time and money to go to court over a river. My father or my great-grandfather never conjure a river. That is what it is. You understand? So you will go there and you see the potentials that are there. Even my own brother, Reverend Dr. Ronstete, decided, say, okay, he will buy part of the land there. Now, he had developed. He bought the land and paid. Finally, there were another group that came, the land doesn't belong to those we bought from. It's a whole lot of nuisance, And so I will not go out and preach, say, bring your money to come and develop. I did disgrace about Bremi. When the assemblies were able to put their heads together and they agreed on certain terms, then of course, we are investors who are ready to come and develop the place to become more attractive. That is what it is for now. And let me add this, that Dodowa, as you all know, has been an ancient town. It's one of the oldest cities, so far as history of this country is concerned, Dodowa used to be the National House of Chiefs headquarters until President Busia came, and then Nana AGYEMANG was able to convince him to take the National House to Kumasi because the history of the Katamanso War does not allow Santihine to come and sit under us at Dodowa, and they took it away. Then we were not having a Greater Accra region. We had what we call Eastern Region and Accra Place. So Greater Accra was even part of Eastern Region. So Dodowa became the regional house for Eastern Region. And at one point, Dodowa became the regional capital for Eastern Region. You know, the first lorry road that was constructed from Accra was from Accra to Dodowa. You know, so from Novotel, which we used to know, all the way to here. If those who bought their land 60, 70, 50 years ago, if you check their land document, you see plot number A42, Dodowa Road. You see, I've worked at the Lands Commission for 6 years as a chairman for research on the board. And all these things are facts that you can double check. Today that we are changing names of streets, and Ira. You know, Dodowa was the first place to even have a clock. Huh? War clock. Now what? Ga-Dangme Memorial Hall. And the people for the Kapiri, those days were not having disco watch, Indian watch. To watch in this stop, you have to walk to the Ga-Dangme Memorial Hall, yes, to come and set. So, in Tinyama Bebraka, the first telephone line from Accra was in Dodowa. The people will have to come from other areas to come and make calls to foreign countries or come and do telegram. I don't know if today you know what is telegram. Aha. You know, the whole lot that happens in Dodowa. Even broadcasting, we have a place called GBC in Dodowa. You see? So, yeah, now, unfortunately, no, those who were there before we came, no, maybe did a little. And today, unlike before, where you can authorize youth, hey, it's communal labor, everybody, and nobody can say, I'm not going. You'll be punished. Today, if you call for communal labor, you either have to hire them and pay, or prepare banku loan kamiensa. With Enchinam Garawa Bako, Akwatesi, 1 tin, 4 gallons, you know, before they will come for communal labor. And government doesn't allow us to tax anything on our land. All revenues is being collected or generated by the District Assembly. The 50% are supposed to come to the traditional council. No? Intimi misikana me be tua me school fees ahwe o ma tua light bill ni water bill. And I mean fan organize communal labor. Anya sir. Intimi to me anya send you nyina your team. Are you getting the point? And now the problem we have in a democratic rule now you see a pen or politics no is go football. Unia nima yam parcel if NEC leadership come to see me and I speak about the development they have ever done and praise them, the next morning MPP say, I am an NDC. If MPP come and I praise them now, during President Kufuor's time, we were able to elevate Ghanata from whatever to a model school. Then the next say, oh, your MPP ni. You see, so it becomes very difficult to even approach politicians about development. And we are suffering. And it's not only Dodowa. Those of you who are from the Ga-Dangme areas, you attest to it. And that, as we are saying, it's because of the landmark that Ada has between the Volta River and the sea, you know, the estuary. What attracts people to go to Ada? But if it is about only the festival where you see chiefs being carried in a palanquin every year, and ask yourself, what are they be able to put in place? Say, yeah, festival, yeah, what target? Maybe we want to put up a modern palace. Into your fundraising, I see fund. Have they be able to do it? You only go with your pocket money, go and drink beer by roadside. You come back. And we are happy, say, yeah, festival. I mean, for me, I've stopped going to, I've been part of the planning committee before, but I've stopped going because I see no sense in it. You go and people will follow you, go and eat and drink 1 week, and then you come back and come and sit here. What do? We have to wake up. We need to rise up and have certain targets for celebration. Look at the number of people that goes to Ada. And sometimes they even take what do you call it? Tourist fees for cars that are entering there. How do they account for that money? What do they use those monies for? Oh, corruption's everywhere. And unfortunately, I keep saying, those of us in the Southern Center, both the Ga, the Dangme, and the Ewes, Akaya Kakra. I was saying, so we speak, and then government will take you on. Now we are show. Before you said that, you are mentioning you are detained. And because of divisions and Obia is targeting his brother or his neighbor to have a problem. Then I'll go and pay media. Oh, expose him. What kind of nonsense is that? What do we get? The other tribes, they'll have their own issues, but they'll cover it. They will have chieftaincy issues. Once one is gazetted, they all come together, rally behind him, and push him. And that is what gives the person that kind of morale to be able to do something. We've never had a king from Africa going to World Bank to take a grant to come and develop his traditional area than Asante, who has paved way. But how do we also get there? We don't have the people there. There's nobody. Currently, tell me, how many Ga-Dangmes do we have as ministers, apart from the regional minister? Why have you? Meanwhile, the seat of government is on our land. Where? Because we even fear to speak. Now we follow the aliens and say, but if you want to do it, I will be able to tell the community when your father was hiding behind the walls and was whispering, calling your mother, and where your mother impregnated your father. What is wrong with us? Are you understanding my point? We need to embrace our own, and we need to polish what we have. I've just told you stories about Dodowa, Shai, but if you go to any other chiefs now, a person can be not born who needing say or no so was part of it. But when you weigh the story, you realize that it doesn't tally, and so I can't. So if it is your family member who says, oh yes, they are no kind, and they are no correct. So we leave it like that. But if we can come together as one people, trust me, we can do it. Recently, when we have King the Ga-Dangme, he has been able to elevate about 6 divisional chiefs to paramountcy. What is he doing? He's trying to also play level with Asante, so that when you have paramount chiefs under you, you also become a king. You understand? And we are talking of just 3 divisions here. We haven't been able to elevate all the 3 divisions to a paramountcy, so that at least even the presidency, as I said, will become rotatory. But we are fighting. When we get money, we are in court. When we make money, we are every day we have to go to court. Why? Because of envy. You see, also young quarter. That's all. You have another question? Not too long ago, before I traveled, we had a gentleman from USA who has shown much interest in investing for the Chenku waterfalls. And so I've tasked the assembly to engage the other counterpart so that we can come together with a common goal. So I know the assembly engineer is working on to retrieve the traditional boundary plan, and then also get the Akwapim area traditional boundary plan. Then we will know exactly which parameters fall within the Akwapim North and then the Shai Osudoku, and we will use that one as a ratio of the of whatever income that comes in. And even there are other individuals who have their lands, their farmlands within. They are all supposed to be stakeholders, of course, that they will benefit them. Because if you don't compensate them and they continue to, farm around there, we will lose the entire water force over there. So it's something we are working on seriously. It's just that since COVID, you can attest to it that government has not been stable economically. A whole lot of things are happening. The assembly is struggling, common fund doesn't come, a lot of things is not working for the assembly. But we are praying that things will be stabilized so that we can be able to do the needful. Yeah. We've been reading like one or two of you. Central region. Have we been able to engage expertise to also put our history together? And those that we have we been able to publicly for people to also access and read and understand? When you go to the lecture then whatever, we will not go to or lecture you on Ga-Dangme. We want to make sure that his own history is being heard. You understand? But as a citizen, as an individual, you have the right to also research into your own history. And where you think you don't understand or you don't believe certain things, you have every right to go to the chief palace and ascertain whether what you have done is correct or not. We have like 1,400 or 600 archaeology students that have been coming here to narrate understand or ask questions like we're doing here about Dodowa. Of course, because I've written the book there, we are yet to publish it to see the history of Dodowa. So these days, archaeology department comes here more often for even excavation, and we are getting a lot of artifacts from here. The first Danish group that came to Ghana settled in Dodowa, and they have their area where they settled. Then some of the structures are still standing in the bush, And the first farm foundation farm was established by the Danish in Dodowa here, and they bring slaves from Sierra Leone and other areas to come and farm here. There's a lot. We have a lot, but because we have not put it into writing or written, people don't hear it or they don't listen to it. But myself and the archaeology department are working hard to be able to publish some of this so that it become a public document that in the future we can access it. There's damage to the
Dear viewers, welcome again. I believe you've had fun and you've learned a lot about the history of Dodowa, especially the Ga-Dangme folks. Thank you so much for watching this exciting story, and I will urge you to subscribe to our page. If you haven't, subscribe and share for others to also see and learn, because this is the only avenue we'll get to learn. Follow us and make sure you are always doing the right thing at the right time. Until then, see you at the other side. Thank you.